What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special, well, not even, I guess it's the same episode, but it's special because it's the final Bachelor recap episode of the Viall Files. We have some very special guests here. We're two-timing it because there's so much content to recap. Arden Myrin, host of her own very funny Bachelor recap podcast. Will you accept this, Rose?
Hi, Nick.
Very clever.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You can expect that kind of comedy on my podcast.
Original.
And then we also have Cathy Kelley, who is kind of an OG, not even kind of, an OG recapper of The Bachelor. She was one of the hosts of the AfterBuzz Bachelor recap back in the day when I was on the show on an Andy season. She talked a lot of shit about me, but she was doing it well before before there were 50,000 Bachelor recaps. Cathy was giving her objective critiquing of the show, so a lot of knowledge in this room.
Yes,
a lot of expertise.
Bachelor podcast before it was cool.
And then obviously we have my producer Rochelle in studio with us as well.
I just had a flashback. I realized the first season I ever watched was Caitlin's season. So
that's the first thing you ever watched.
I never watched.
You didn't even
it.
watch Andy's season.
I didn't watch any of it before, so I remember.
I mean, that's good news for me.
Well, that's the thing. When you showed up, my friend Lori, who's like my Bachelor historian, who was so excited that I was coming on here, and she said she thinks you're the smartest Bachelor. She had to explain to me your arrival and what it meant, and because I didn't know who you were.
Like, who's this guy just showing up week before?
I've never seen a chemical reaction from a like hers. Like, oh my God, Nick's here. It was literally like Pop Rocks put in Coke, just like her visceral reaction to your arrival. And I didn't know who you were, but I just had that memory when you were talking about.
I feel like that's a good season to start watching.
She was a great Bachelor.
She was,
and your drama was it was so gripping.
It was it's fun. I was in New York last week, and Caitlin was there for work, and we connected, and we hung out like
connected.
I feel like it's funny because every time I say I have an interaction with Caitlin, I'm always like, okay, choose your words carefully. What can you say that people won't?
Exes can be friends.
No, we're totally friends, and Jason is super cool, and I've gotten to be friends with Jason. So my relationship or friendship with Caitlin has evolved to like what I guess I always hoped it would be and should be. Now that she's seemed to be in a better place with her relationship, but I won't give too much details. But she like we've talked. Once in a while we'll get together. We'll kind of like talk about like that experience.
Yeah. And
when I went on the show, when we were filming, I was saying to her, like when the show was going on, we were off camera. I was like, because I really didn't think I was coming on. Like the show had started filming. I had no plans on coming on. And I was like emailing her, being like, oh God, don't get engaged, all these like.
Can you check email?
Over the top. No, she couldn't, but she said she was going to try to. And it was just like, I'm writing it. Like, I don't know if you're going to read these. I don't know if you're going to get 30.
Romance.
It was like, it was heavy. Anyways, I hadn't read them. I didn't. And when we did the podcast, when she was on, she was like, hey, by the way, like, because we literally hadn't talked about it. She wasn't really, we weren't allowed to speak.
Sure.
She's like, I never got those emails.
She didn't get them.
She just like, I looked for them, like, and she looked for them like when she got off the show. She just would, like, we were like shooting the shit about all this shit. And she's like, by the way, you sent those emails.
Wow.
Anyways, we were out and she kind of, it came up. It made sense that it came up. She's like, yeah, no, I never got those, And so I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder if I have them in my sent.
Yes.
And I went and looked at my old email, and sure as shit they were. And I like looked at them, and I showed them to Caitlin, and it was some heavy shit. And she's reading them, and I'm like, they were like,
you let her read them?
I didn't even read them. I was like, here they are.
Oh my God.
And then I kind of looked at it.
Last week?
It was like this weekend. And she had this, it was me and her and a bunch of her friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? They're looking at Caitlin's. And it was just like, it brought us both back to like 4 years ago. It was pretty wild.
Even just hearing about this, I think it was that season. I remember you had like a cowl neck cardigan and you guys went to, and there was, the cardigans were playing and you were in a church.
It was a bad look.
But you went to like the church. You guys were like grinding in the church in Ireland, and cupcake was left on the cliff. Like that's how to do a 2-on-1. But I remember that season, and then I remember I thought I was just going to be one and done with that, but it was such a great season. And somebody asked me if I was going to do Paradise. I was like, no, like I'm not a loser.
I'm above that.
And so then I watched it, and it was a terrific season of Paradise. And then I remember I had just this fever dream before. You were the next Bachelor? No, Ben Higgins.
Ben, and then
I had this vision that I needed a podcast because I needed to talk about it with funny people.
You had things to say,
but it was because of your season. It was truly, I think, because of you and Sean and the drama of it. It was just like she was a great Bachelorette. That was I think my favorite
really
season.
Good season, yeah. Just to have someone so vulnerable and honest and true to themselves.
Yeah,
too.
And I can see that Jason, like. If I was Jason and I wasn't like, okay, so you're like an ex, whatever. Like, it's different than if you're like, he doesn't
competing.
Yeah. Like, I could see why you wouldn't.
And that's the thing. Like, Caitlin and I, we're not friends. We're like, we have this relationship. But once in a while, if we happen to realize we're in the same city and we'll meet up, Jason's like, cool.
I love
like,
this.
Whatever. Like,
he seems cool.
It's not like, I don't hang out with them.
No,
we're not like
so much
friends.
of the Bachelor world anyways. And so many people have
totally.
each other. So
well, it's more normal now than like literally. That's the thing. It's funny that we even had this conversation over the weekend, only because like for 4 years it was like.
Oh,
right. You can't.
Right.
Not really.
Did you guys hear that they're going to do the whole Claire's whole season in the United States?
Because of coronavirus?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Work? That sucks.
That's what the rumor is.
Lance Bass and I were supposed to do The Amazing Race this summer. And
it's canceled?
It did, but he thinks it's a good thing because when it comes back, it'll be even more, people will be more excited about it. But Lance Bass and I've been like running around
Amazing
the
Race.
Can you imagine?
Canceled.
Is on hold right now.
That's a bummer. I feel bad. I mean, I guess safety first, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But at the same time.
We were never going to win.
I'm looking up flights because they're so cheap right now. Go to Hawaii or something for $200.
I was in the airport and like. Really empty and very easy to get around.
Now, I'm sure it's
just
clean by
washed
now.
my hands a few times. I felt pretty good.
This is the time to travel.
Okay. Let's not say that.
Anyway.
Here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, bummer. It is a bummer for the guys.
How much do you actually get to see though?
Not as much. It's not as much of a bummer as like you would think, but I will say, like, I still have very cool memories of like having an entire day with Andy in Venice, Italy on a date, and that was a really memorable, cool experience. Like
the Ireland trip looked fun.
That was a lot of fun.
And then you had Lapland.
That it was cold. I will say that was cool because I'll never go to Lapland.
I remember like the Santa Claus that felt like he had like curlers in his beard, like lurking in the trees.
Santa smelled.
There was a real like, stranger danger vibe to that Santa.
Yeah. But he was full. He was either Santa or full Daniel Day-Lewis. Like that's full method.
That's where Daniel Day-Lewis goes. He's prepping to play Saint Nick.
Gravity, the weighted blanket you need to have.
Yes. It's the top one on the market.
It's the best.
It is.
And just weighted blankets in general, if you haven't hopped on that train, you are missing out. If you suffer from anxiety, it's certainly helpful. If you just want someone to cuddle with at night and you don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, great supplement to that.
Especially these times, like I feel like the news is so stressful. Like it's easy to get lose sleep. So you need that comfort.
Yeah. Everyone's worried about viruses and the corona.
Yeah.
But seriously, regardless, weighted blankets, there's a lot of great science behind how effective they are. They're very calming. I never thought I would like it. And then I kind of like got one and then I didn't use it for a second. And then I did. And I was like, oh, what a dream.
Yeah.
It's truly an experience. So I definitely recommend it. And Gravity
is the highest quality one on the market.
You can't beat it.
It has a new lower price of $189, and listeners get an extra 20% off.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
And like, this is one of the things you don't want to cut corners. You want the top of the line, and Gravity is what you need.
I have a cooling one, and it comes with a duvet, so I can just wash the duvet, keep it clean, and then I don't sweat so much at night.
Amazing. Learn more about Gravity Blankets at gravityblankets.com and use promo code VIALL to get 20% off your purchase today. That's gravityblankets.com and use code VIALL to get 20% off the blanket that everyone is talking about. Hydrate, Spark. Hydrate, people. And just listen, take the stress levels out of drinking enough water, which it sounds crazy, but that's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Nick gets stressed.
I'm not the only one. I mean, people act like
I should be more stressed about it.
Yeah, you just people don't stress. They just like forget, and then they don't, and then they get dehydrated, and then your skin is flaky. Let's not even get started about the inside of your body, your organs. You don't even see what's going on there.
Yeah.
It helps with your immune system. It helps with your metabolism. Drinking enough water is one of the healthiest things you can do for your body. And Hydrate Spark is helping you make that happen. So try Hydrate.
Wait.
What?
We got to say what it is.
Well, it's a water bottle that you have this very user-friendly app, and it lights up every time you need to hydrate.
Yeah. And it in your phone tracks how much you're drinking and tells you how much more you need to drink.
And when you're not doing enough, it lets you know and says, get on that H2O train,
so high
people.
tech.
Try Hydrate Spark Smart Water Bottle today and get 20% off your first order if you use discount code VIALL at checkout. Go to hydratespark.com now. Hydrate is spelled with an I, so that's HIDRATE spark.com. That's hydratespark.com, discount code VIALL. Hydrate, people. A lot to cover this episode. I'm glad I have the both of you here because there's just, I'm watching it and I felt things throughout the entire episode. Yeah. And I was like, I totally empathized with each character and I was critical of each one. Yes. And it was just so much. It was very real. And that's what I do get very protective of the characters on the show, especially at this point, because, you know, there's a lot of snark and there's a lot of things. And there are people who show up and practice their speeches and, you know, have their followers in mind. But at this stage in the game, you're really talking about people who are like, brains are fried, hearts are in pieces, they're very confused, they don't know what they're doing, they feel really real feelings, and they're truly losing their minds.
They're not getting validation at all either.
No. There's no support system other than kind of Peter.
I mean, it truly, I feel like this has been a kind of dull season, and then last night it just got taken up. I'm all in. I loved it. I agree with you because they're tired. They've had no phones. He had a head injury. Like, who knows how long that sidelined him, you know? And I feel like everyone's exhausted. And it was, I have never seen a family that has, I'm not jumping ahead, but like the family and their interaction was fascinating.
I mean, it explains Peter so much.
Oh my God.
His background of his mother.
Dude.
We very much know why he likes a crier.
Yes.
His mom, I texted Nick last, I mean, like, Barb was so ready for her close-up. I loved it. I was there for it.
She's watched every season.
Oh, no. She's, like, ready to be Bachelorette. You know? She, like, my bangs are, like, braided back right now, but just when they're in, you just, like, bring her home to me. She is an angel on earth, Peter. You go get... It's like, and I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, wait, no. When someone does a great impression of someone on the show, we give them the floor. So I feel like...
Oh, Peter... This is what great love stories are made of. You go get her and you bring her home to me, Peter. You bring her home. You go get her. I pray to God. And God I met her for 2 minutes. But I know you put her on Bud. And she will support your line dancing and boning and partying. You bring her home to me, Peter. We will embrace her with open arms.
It's really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's the best acting I've done.
I like that your hand was shaking too.
her hair's like.
Well, it's funny because like Barb she pulled like, I don't know if you would have thought that Hannah Ann had met Barb when Madi did in the date one, because Hannah Ann does this thing where she'll just start crying and we don't know what's going on. You know, like Hannah Ann, in defense of Hannah, she's just emotional, but she just either has figured out Peter likes a crier.
That's what it feels
or
like.
and she just starts crying. But Barb also like just sits down and just immediately starts crying before like Peter's like, what's going on? What did I do? He's,
But were there tears? It was more just like
the mom.
Well, if you noticed her reaction of she was crying, and then the second he started talking, she just stopped.
I mean, she had a
So you think mommy's a little manipulative?
Yeah, a lot of manipulative.
She had her tube top and her smoky eye, and she was just ready. I mean, it was. I've never seen a family angrier at a woman who was mad that like they didn't want her partner to bone two ladies before.
Peter did a horrible job at describing both women. He said one was perfect and described her in this eloquent way.
Yes.
And then the other one, he's like, yeah, we've had some struggles. We have a lot of differences, but I really love her.
But then he went he tattled immediately, like, she didn't want me to get down in the fantasy suites, but I got there, you know. And
how awkward to go into a situation where you meet the family on the day of your biggest fight and then have to go explain that the reason why you had a fight is because your son banged other women.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think my guess is that's just what they shared with us and aired, because they probably talked for a little bit. I mean, it wasn't that long. I mean, it's pretty like, hey, what's up? I'm bringing this girl in. She's pretty pissed. I fucked a bunch of chicks. I don't know. Anyways, you want to meet her?
Jack was enraged. His brother was so enraged. Like, how dare she? She knows you like to get down. Like, you fuck 4 times in a windmill, man. Like, she knows that.
I thought Jack killed it. I thought he was kind of the hero of the episode in terms of he's the younger of the two. Yep. He was so pragmatic and so like calm. Like Peter's dad was very sweet and just being the rock for Peter. Yeah. Peter's mom is just, just crying her way into his heart. And Jack's just like, bro, you love to fuck and you love to line dance. I think your life's a little too crazy for this Madi chick.
Dude, has anyone ever been described as crazy because they love to line dance in 2020? I'm like,
I'm just imagining him going to hide every night and like,
no, but like when
getting bottle service and the way that they were describing him.
Peter was line dancing, episode 3, and I'm like, you know what, way to be a sport, Peter, and embrace the fact that like Bachelor Nation loves a good, country music star. No.
I felt like they were trying to make him more relatable. It's like, this is a valley boy. He lives they're trying to make the valley seem more like the middle of the country, more relatable. So like, we'll make it seem like we're like, in the South. And it turns out my man loves to line dance.
He gets off a plane, puts on his cowboy boots, and immediately goes to a country bar and starts like hoop scooting boogieing.
It makes me like him so much more. It's so crazy that was also something like that. It's like we're watching Footloose, like that. It's so shocking. She'll never be able to handle. You have like 3 beers and you go line dancing. Like, you're wild. Like,
yeah. Well, they were saying it as if like, Peter, you like strippers and cocaine. And I don't know if Maddie's really like, let's just be real. Like, I support your habits, but like, this is nuts.
No, the contrast too of talking about Maddie's faith and that's why she wouldn't fit into this family, and then going into, I prayed all of last night and God said that he would bring the right woman into your life.
It's I know.
Yeah, because
this isn't the woman.
I totally agree with you, Kelly. It was like at first Peter's mom was, and I appreciated it. She's like, "Hey, Madi, just so you know, my son's not religious." Like it was pretty like
she went right for it.
And I was, you know what, good for her for like just like my son's he's a little lost right now, and he's leading with his heart, but like just I don't want you to. And I really liked what Barb said to Madi at first. That so many like parents are feared. It's like they see this girl, Peter's in love, and I related to Peter so much watching that episode. Just like young me, just being like, I felt for him. I've been there.
I felt for him.
He's no pun intended, but Peter is in love with Madi for all the wrong reasons.
You think so?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he's fighting for something. He's confusing fighting for love with like. The fact that when someone says you guys just don't know her like I do, right?
I feel like in their conversations they have so much more depth. I know nothing about Hannah Ann other than that she loves him and she like let out a few tears last night.
I don't doubt that his like feelings when he's with Madison might be the strongest. I'm not doubting that. I just think like so many of us in relationships, especially when we're younger, it's the things that we have to fight for. I text Kelly last night. I think Peter's watched The Notebook one too many times.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
He's a rom-com boy. Like, like he is a sweet guy. And for all the criticism Peter has gotten this season, and I've said this before, you can't argue that Peter's just a sweet guy, a good guy, someone you'd want your sister to date. You know, like
he seems like he's in over his head. He's a nice guy who's also been kind of played by the producers. You know, they like bringing back Hannah B right out of the gate.
Yeah,
and which I think was a big misstep in that he was. It clearly jangled his chemicals to the point where it woke it all back up. Yeah. And she was available, and then she's like covers him in glitter and titties, and like he's like, let's do it, you know. And she's like, no, I gotta go do Dancing with the Stars. And then like it felt like that kind of threw him off right out of the gate. And like he seems like this sweet guy who's been put through this machine.
It's very clear that his family was being protective of his feelings because of what happened with Hannah B.
Oh
and I think because of they just kind of know Peter does this.
Yeah, they didn't want him to get hurt again, but at the same time they overstepped. And I kind of question the reason why he's had such trouble making decisions this entire season is because his family makes them for him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
but
you're absolutely right. He lives at home. He lives at home.
He lives at home. We're fighting for a guy that lives at home.
Abort
with Barb. He lives with Barb. He lives.
No, and again, his family seems really sweet. I really like Peter, but yes, and I really good for Peter for standing up to his mom.
He was like, "You've got to stop."
And Madi stood up to her as well.
Yes, she did.
She stood strong.
She cut off Barb.
She was so well spoken. I could not have. I would have
lost my.
I want to say about Hannah Ann, when you were bringing this up, she started off the season. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to like her, and then I think she's a very sweet girl. She's clearly beautiful. I don't buy any of it. I think she figured out how to cry. Because when he was so afraid that she'd never been in love, it's like, well, she's like 22. Like, well, so that's fine. You know, whatever. So she, you know, she's never been in love. And then she had, like, he walked away. And then it was when she started crying, he was like, oh daddy, like, you know. And so, like, she knows to say, like, I love you so much. You know, it's like.
I just wonder whether it's real love, if they're actually in love, or this is a young,
Instagram,
not completely formed love.
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't totally buy the relationship itself. I don't think she is being disingenuous. I don't think at this point, and especially like having lived in it, you just don't. It's very real now, right? So you're not faking it this much. I think that's just how she reads. I think it's interesting in life. I think Hannah Ann, and I mean this is almost a compliment, I think Hannah Ann's kind of a nerd. And I think Maddie's kind of the cool chick. And like Madison's like the basketball player. She's always been the popular girl, especially in her little, very tight community.
Hanging out with the guys.
How
She's
could
very
Hannah
cool.
Ann be a nerd?
I swear to God, I think
Hannah
she's kind of
Ann
nerdy.
was friends with Hannah G, right?
Yeah.
So pretty shy girls.
Which one was Hannah G?
She was
the Hannah Ann of Colton.
Yeah.
Like very pretty, didn't talk much, runner up.
Instagram model type.
Huge eyes. I'll bring her up.
Okay, great.
Gorgeous. She was on Bachelor in Paradise too. She got engaged to Dylan.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. I mean, they don't read as nerdy though. They read as probably people that they were so pretty that they probably always.
I'm not saying she was like picked on. Like,
she feels the type that
I think she's kind of dorky.
She feels pageanty.
She wants to like appeal to the authority figures. Like I'm always doing the right thing.
She wants the validation.
Yeah,
and so she puts her best foot forward.
But when she does it, it's kind of awkward and dorky. I think almost in kind of a charming way, because I don't think she's actually. Like when Madi does things, and people have been like tagging me in their like TikTok videos, you know. So like, it's like I get like you know, and I'm just like, you watch it, and it's just like Maddie's the cool,
no
cool,
one looks
popular.
Cool doing TikTok though.
Some look dorkier than others.
Yeah,
but they're both doing a lot of TikToks. I've been informed by. So
okay,
are they 12?
Wow.
Well, there we go. It tracks in the season.
I mean, they're the pretty girls who've always been pretty, probably well liked. Probably everybody liked them. I'm sure they were homecoming queens and they were pageant girls. They've been trained. but they're nice people. They're nice girls.
I think the question is whether she is able to relate to Peter, and I haven't seen any depth. I don't know who she is other than a cute, pretty girl that Barb thinks is angel sent from heaven.
If I was Peter watching back when Jack laid out, Jack basically was a really good lawyer and like told Madi. He told Madi every reason. He's like, look, here's the deal. Here's my brother. Here's you. You really think you're compatible? Think about it. This is what you do. This is what he does. If I was him watching, and that's when I think Jack, and I think she's a practical gal, and she's like, oh my God, absolutely. Madison? Yeah. She's like, you're right. And I think in the helicopter thing, I think Jack really swayed her. And if I was Peter watching back, I would have been a little bit pissed at Jack.
Well, she never.
No, he owes Jack a big thank you.
You think?
Mm-hmm. When she was leaving, though, when she explained her reasons, I love that she never brought up his family as being the reason she was stepping even further away.
Classy.
So
when it was so apparent, like that scared her.
You guys noticed she had that Proverbs written on her hand?
What is it?
It's a Bible verse.
Kind of rolled my eyes.
Is that a tattoo?
I think she just wrote Proverbs.
Oh, did she write that?
Yeah.
It's not a tattoo?
No, of course it's not a tattoo.
That makes me like her less.
I mean,
much less. That makes me like her much less.
It looks like a henna tattoo.
I'm gonna I'm TV, so I'm gonna write a thing so like everyone can see how. If I haven't pointed out how much I love God,
dude,
it's a little forced. Echelon. You know what? Amazing bicycles. Great training, and at the fraction of the cost of the expensive Peloton.
Yeah, don't pay a ton for Peloton.
Don't pay a ton, and don't shame your girlfriend into working out Peloton.
Yeah.
Echelon would never do that.
Yeah.
No, they have great different workout classes. They have exercising bikes. They have rowers. They have wall mounts for like the strength training. I don't know what they call them, but they're really cool.
Yeah. And you can go to echelonfit.com to discover their EX1 connected fitness bikes that offer a high quality at-home cycling experience at less than half the price of Peloton.
Half, people.
Yeah.
Twice as good, half as much. Go to echelonfit.com/VIALL to learn about their limited time free Apple iPad and complete details for this exclusive offer. This is too good to be true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what about Echelon. You don't have to take our word for it. You can take theirs because they'll give you 100% satisfaction money back guarantee.
Yeah. And it's like being at a studio. Yeah. It's like being at a gym in a class with someone coaching you.
People.
But you're at home.
And a trainer. Yeah. And just like you feel like you're part of this community and you're just getting fit. And and you can do it without shaming your girlfriend, and you can do it at a fraction of the price. Yeah. So get on the Echelon bike today. Echelon, it's your time. That's ECHELON fit.com/VIALL. Echelonfit.com/VIALL. I watched it, and I've been very defensive of Madison as it relates to the timing in which she told Peter that she's a virgin, and people have been critical of like, why'd you wait so long? I've even been defensive of Madison when people say like, you knew what you signed up for, and I'm always like, no, you didn't.
Right.
However,
yes.
And you women seem like you're also in defense of, you seem more in defense of Madi than critical. Is that?
I've come around on her. I really.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
Because she lost me last night.
She did.
I don't think what she gave was an ultimatum. I think she was explaining.
Oh, I totally think it was an ultimatum.
I don't think it was
totally fine.
She said it would make it very hard for me to continue. Not, I will never speak to you again. There was no harshness in the way that she said it.
I think people confuse ultimatum with a bad thing. I'm fine with the ultimatum. People give ultimatums in relationships all the time.
Yeah.
I have the problem. So like, I mean, I think we're agreeing and saying it differently because I do think what she said was totally fine. And like, this is how I feel. You have there's nothing wrong with saying in a relationship, this is what I want in a relationship. Right? And I think in that moment, like I've said this before, that was very different than the Luke P of last season, which was like shaming Hannah. But now Hannah's kind of going down the Luke P path where it's a lot of shame and it's a lot of like, she does these things with her lips.
You mean Madi?
Madi. I'm sorry.
I think that Madison's being shamed by everyone else. Like even Peter, to an extent, of him interpreting what she's saying as an ultimatum, because she's saying, I don't know if I can accept a proposal 6 days after you slept with another woman. That's not saying that she couldn't do it a year or two down the line.
Fine, but it's interesting because I found myself almost like disagreeing with myself before watching it last night, because again, I'm very like, when people say you know what you signed up for, I get really defensive of everyone who's going on the show.
Right.
However, it was clear last night just how rigid Madison is with her beliefs. Like this, like apparently she doesn't drink, the whole like apple cider. So it's just like, this is who she is. She is steadfast, good for her. She's writing fake tattoos in her hand. She wants everyone to know that line dancing is way too nuts for her. And I guess my question is, all right, you may not know what you signed up for.
Yep.
But like, if this is who you are, then you did have no business going on this show. And as someone who's been in Peter's position before, I do think it's kind of fucked up to take it that far, to let yourself be one of his top two and maybe his favorite and then break up with him. Like, you should have realized this world's not for me, and I think this guy likes me, because Peter is, again, the only one. And having been the Bachelor before, I would have been destroyed. Like, he has got so much invested and she's like leading him on.
If they had been outside of this situation and it had been a normal relationship, maybe it would have lasted a year or two until they got to that point where they realized that they weren't compatible on things like religion or going line dancing or whatever that is.
Line dancing.
But I guess it's just more the...
I found myself, because I also was defending Madi last week, of going, okay, you don't get that many dates with, there wasn't that, like, you can't on the first date say it. There weren't that many times she could say it.
When is she going to say it during his parents' vow renewal?
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it.
Because he did tell her he was in love with her. Like, he said it. So I was like, okay, well, if you're in love with me, like, please don't go bone Victoria F. And it's like, that's why she's here. Yeah, like, sorry. But I did, like, last night as I was watching, and after meeting her family and her dad, you know, I put my hands on her as a baby and prayed for her husband. And then last night, and like realizing just how, I thought, did they pursue her? Like, how did she actually get on this? Like,
there's a rumor she was trying to get on Colton season.
Listen, when it comes, that really, yes, probably when people, they either submit themselves or friends submit them. Often when they get submitted by whoever, whether it's himself, that it's like an 8 to 12 month turnaround. My friends, when I got signed up for, she was watching Sean Lowe's season.
Yes.
And my friend joked with me, oh, I submitted for The Bachelor one night. And I like totally forgot about it and didn't. And then literally 9 months later, I got a call. So it's not like, you know, so the time in which she said that was probably around Colton season.
Oh, that's interesting.
No one signs up for a particular bachelor or bachelorette.
I loved your analogy of the you're trying to make dinner out of groceries you didn't buy. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Although you guys got to vote on which bachelorette you wanted, which was also spectacular.
I didn't. I was in the Salesforce offices hoping they would pick Britt.
Oh my God. Britt, who went off with that guy.
Oh, Brady.
I vividly remember that morning of finding out, and I was super bummed. I was in my living room and I walked to the grocery store and I got there was a big announcement. I called my dad.
Oh, because you wanted to go be with Caitlin.
Yeah, she was gonna fly out to Chicago.
What
do you guys think of that there when he was like, remember, it's like that basketball game where
you knocked your tooth out.
They clearly know
and then your dad
a lot about
I
each
need
other.
you back. Yeah, that was like a very...
Yeah, that was a real moment. They clearly have had some real conversations.
He seems the happiest with her, except for until like the fantasy suite hanger. You know, he has seemed the most relaxed. They seem the most like they've had a good time. He has seemed the most connected to her.
They have great body language.
Yeah, they're cute together.
Peter with Madison is like, I was with Vanessa, like Ben was with Lauren. There's always that one person where it's like, yeah, they like so-and-so, and yet, but like when those two are in the same room together, it reads through the screen, right? Like rarely does a lead have that with two people, sometimes two.
Did you have your Victoria F? I can't remember, because there's usually like the sweet one and then the bone zone one.
I just had Vanessa.
Yeah.
Like, it was,
because there's sometimes like the one that you're like super horny for, and then the one that like I know I'm gonna end up with them, but like I want to just get it on with so and so beforehand.
Who was the first Bachelor? Was it Ben Higgins who said "I love you" to two people?
Yes. Yeah. It was JoJo and Lauren.
But even then, when you watched it, I think you really like JoJo, and JoJo obviously is very impressive. But like when you saw him and Lauren, it was like, yeah, this is different.
Yeah. I wanted him to pick JoJo so badly. That Wrigley Park, that was a great date.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. You know,
it worked out.
But I mean, I just but it's weird. So they have this connection. I didn't like how Madison broke up with Peter. Like, I don't like, stop using analogies and say you're doing it for them. Even when you're breaking up with someone, I'm like, I'm doing this for you so you can find someone else.
She just knew she was marrying into that family and she didn't want any part of it.
I think the brother really scared her. I think the brother was like, here is every reason why it's not going to work. Like, are you crazy? I think she was already so mad at him for the fantasy suite. Like, to the point where her body language, even when she said "I love you" and he would go in for a kiss, and she's like, I'm like, no.
I mean, listen, she doesn't have to kiss Peter, but like, Peter's just like, there's nothing wrong with our relationship. Everything's perfect. Meanwhile, she won't kiss him.
She's like, she's so mad at him. Yeah. And I don't think she can get over it. And then the brother was like a John Grisham trial lawyer, just saying every reason why they shouldn't be together.
But that's why I'm critical of Madison. And plus, we've been basically teased that she's now going to come back. And I'm just thinking, Madison, you have every right to believe what you want to believe. You have every right to save yourself. You have every right to be pissed that Peter had sex with all these other women. Yeah. You didn't necessarily know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
However, now you know, right? And now it's like, it's clear that and people, or Peter's family, whether aggressively or not, are like letting you know. And like, you're fucking with him. You're dragging it out.
I mean, that's why she removed herself from the situation.
You're very Team Madi.
I kind of am too.
Wow.
I kind of am too. I mean, a little bit. I feel like I kept wondering if the producers were dragging her back. I felt like I didn't feel like she even wanted to be at the rose ceremony last week. Like, I felt like they shoved her in a red dress and pushed her up the hill.
You don't think she could have left?
She
could have left.
I know. Are you Team Madi?
I don't know. No, I'm not.
I'm not Team Madi or not Team Madi. Yeah. I think she's deserving of a lot of criticism for some of her actions, and I think some of her actions, I think she's being unfairly criticized.
Do you think she expected a Colton situation of him to leave when she was leaving?
If that's the case, that again makes me like her less. Because I just think there's been these moments with Madison we don't get to see much of her.
Yeah.
And I really like it when we see the real Madison. That real Madison is very articulate and very like thoughtful, and not as sweet and nice as she wants everyone to believe. I like that Madison better.
Mm-hmm. She feels real.
She feels real, but she's also manipulative. Well, 100%. I mean, no one writes a fake tattoo in their hand if they're not manipulative.
I think it's a reminder to herself.
No, it's not. It's so it's not.
Don't put it on your hand.
Don't put it on your hand. Like, you're on national television. This is like.
I mean, where's she gonna put it? Like, on her back? Like,
not anywhere. Like,
read a tramp stamp version on your lower back.
She's gonna. You read.
It's hard for me to get past the eyelashes.
I know they are.
That's your criticism.
Yeah,
of that?
They are
just a lot.
They're a lot.
She knows what she's doing, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I grew up religious.
I grew up around that.
Like,
so
you know, the
triggering.
Shame and the pointing and like.
I'm better than you.
But she's never. That's the thing, is she's never forced her beliefs onto him. I don't think. Like she said,
does it in a very subtle way. Like, you're a big boy.
Oh, I love that. That
big
was
a
big
verbal slap in the face.
I mean,
so you like that?
No. That was the only part of the conversation that she had with him that I felt very critical of that was a little condescending.
I just think she knows, and like she has, it's wild talking to him because she knows she has this power, and I get why she's pissed, because she's like that's how Vanessa would have been had I done what Peter did.
Yeah.
And she would like, no, these other women, whatever. We have the only real relationship here, and then you went and had sex with these other women. Like, what the fuck? I totally get why she's upset.
Because he said, I'm in love with you a few weeks ago.
But she's treating him like she has his power, and now she's like using it, being like, And I get, she's justified to feel the way she is, but she also, again, she is on The Bachelor.
Aren't these a two-way street, though? Like, at the end of the day, the relationship, in my mind, she's looking at the relationship as this could be marriage, where all of the other girls were looking to just get to the end of the show.
I totally agree. I think we're saying the same thing, but I feel like a relationship with Madison for Peter would be a lot of, I've been in those relationships where it's like, you really you really think that's the right decision? Do you think you should do that? And a lot of just critiquing Peter.
She'll never get over the fantasy.
He'll never be able to line dance and have fun. No, I'm serious. Like, all jokes aside, I think a relationship for Peter with Madison is doing whatever Madison wants to do, and going to Bibles, and like a lot of guilt and a lot of passive aggressive like pokes at Peter's like lifestyle.
I don't know. I think for sure now. I think for sure after the fantasy suites. I think there is if for whatever reason they end up together, she will never fully get over that. Even though she knew he got down on the windmill 4 times, like I think she will never, because he made the error of saying, I'm in love with you. Like,
part of her religion is talking about forgiveness. So I think that eventually she could. I think in this situation, it's been less than a week since that situation happened. But one of the moments that I did want to touch on is Peter said to his brother that all relationships are compromised, but it's when it becomes sacrifice. And that's what I think his family is concerned about, of, are you going to move to where she is? Are you going to go to church every Sunday? Yeah. Are you going to be involved in ministry? Are you going to do all of these things and sacrifice spending time with us? Moving out of our house.
I live at home.
Yeah, you're not going to leave, Peter, are you?
She's not moving in.
But I agree with Cathy there, where it's just like, I actually think Madison would get over it. What I don't think Madison would ever stop doing is kind of negging Peter and shaming Peter, and like, unless Peter fully like becomes Madison's dad, I think she like, I just think you know, like, and I've done this, like I've been Madison before too. I grew up in a heart, like when my first girlfriend, I was the very religious one and she wasn't. And I look back on some of our fights and it was a lot of me like forcing my beliefs on her. And when she didn't do it, it was a lot of like condescension and shame and passive aggressive comments.
Trying to change someone for what you want and what you need in a relationship.
I've done this, right? Like, so I'm not criticizing. I think Madison, you know, is a 23-year-old woman who's literally lived in a bubble.
Yes.
Also, her own bubble. Peter's lived in a bubble. Yeah. We have 2 bubble people. Two
pod people.
You know, trying to.
I don't think either of the women are right for him. I did want to go hang out with the baby kangaroos, which are the best things I've ever seen.
We were talking about that last
night. The kangaroos, like the guy, at first I was like, is this guy like a serial killer? And I was like, no, he's not. He's like, he's an angel on earth.
They were scared of him. Weren't they kind of scared of him?
I don't think you realize this. That guy was like 6'6", because Peter's tall and he towered over Peter.
He hopped out of that like Range Rover out, like that Outback Jack, hopped out.
Looking hot.
Looking kind of like salty dog.
Good day.
Yeah, he's like, and I was like, where he's taking us to like a shed. Like, by the way,
he also saves baby kangaroos.
The worst location on earth. Like, they were in like the most barren, like, get ready for romance. That's why they were
scared. Yeah,
he could have murdered all of them. No one would have.
Nobody would have heard their screams.
Sound, camera, they're all done.
He murdered the entire crew, craft service, everybody. Those baby kangaroos, those orphan kangaroos. I want to hold baby kangaroos.
I'm not, like, I wouldn't describe myself as a super sappy person. Like puppies are.
You want to adopt a kangaroo now?
Look at that! Yeah. Look at that!
Puppies are obviously cute, right?
Obviously,
they're clearly cute. Yeah. When I see them on TV, I'm not like one of those guys who like sits with her. I'm like, oh my god, like amazing! And like clearly they're cute. They're so fucking adorable. But when I watch this, the baby kangaroos, I'm on my couch being like.
I died. Their feet are as big as Peter's.
My phone was blowing up with like because everybody texted me.
The hero.
I just kept getting like baby kangaroos texted at me from like 15 people.
I mean, that was the greatest.
Kangaroos are dangerous though.
They'll punch you in the face if they get older. But as babies, oh god, they're so cute.
Although that's still a photo of this banger kangaroo, he looks like he's like
that's Madison. When
he looks really, he's like, I'm stinking cute, but I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna rip your dick off, sir. Oh my god, look at I mean, I was surprised at how quickly. I was surprised that he didn't pull a Colton a little bit. Like, I was surprised that he was like, okay, well, I'm a little rattled, but I do see a future with Hannah Ann, and I want. And he actually said the phrase, and I could see wanting to spend the rest of my life with this woman. And I thought, if you actually are with Hannah Ann, and she's watched back the first part of this episode, like, how do you get past that?
Yeah, I was thinking that, so we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you can't pick Hannah Ann anymore.
I didn't believe anything that he was saying in those interviews. I thought that he was trying to convince himself because of what his family said, maybe because of what producers said, and maybe because she was the last one there, that she was the one.
It's interesting though, because then this is where like I do again get defensive of the show or Peter, is that, and Peter is like he's like a Bachelor test tube baby. Like he believes in the process.
Right.
His brain isn't anywhere else but this role he's in. It's like and you can make the argument he's the perfect Bachelor.
Yes.
In the sense of what they want their Bachelor and
they built him in a lab.
Right? They did. Like he is, and so. But in fairness, like. He's just so fucked up in the head right now. And again, like I said, Peter's watched way too many rom-coms where he's just, he's fighting for this love, and he is confusing that with romance, and he's confusing that with love. I do think he really does. I think it's unfair to Hannah Ann. I know we like to snark and tease.
Yeah.
It doesn't read, but I do think there's a real relationship that we're just not seeing.
Well, how many relationships do you know where one half of the couple is really religious and the other isn't, and they still go to church on Sundays and the other one stays home? Like it's possible to do. We're saying
I only know one.
I know several, but yeah, the fact that it is possible for them to make it work.
It does, but would you agree that you have to have two people who are very confident in their own beliefs, and they don't necessarily need and feel this burden to like force their beliefs on? It's like some people like have to vote for the same people, and some people are like, listen, I love you, you love me, and like I don't care about that other stuff. I just don't think Madison's that person. I think Peter could be that person. Peter just wants to line dance.
Yeah, Peter's supposed to walk around in his like captain's outfit and line dance and go hang out with Barb.
Have sex, watch rom-coms, and line dance. And Peter would be like just a happy little guy.
Yeah.
Hannah Ann, I mean, she's so cute. She's super pleasant. She loves him. Like, I can see how on paper he's like, okay, this isn't a bad life.
Can you imagine her getting married tomorrow, though? No. Or being a mother at this point? She looks like she's 14.
People said that about Becca.
Can you imagine that about Madison?
Yes.
Yeah,
she's so. I do feel like because she's so religious. I can almost see her friends falling in love and getting married young because they all are. They save themselves.
Well, that I agree with. I think Madison has a lot of life left to live.
Yeah,
and I don't think Madison's ever really bought into Madison's from the South, and I'm probably religious too. Like I don't want to take anything.
Who are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Hannah Ann. Okay. Thank you. But yes, Madison is a true believer in her beliefs and steadfast, and yes, you're right. She could get married tomorrow, and like this is part of the plan.
Did you guys watch Love Is Blind?
I've seen 2 episodes.
Okay,
I'm obsessed.
I feel like Giannini Milady.
Gigi.
Giannini Milady. Her name is.
Which one is she?
She's the one that is
Mia Bella.
Blonde. She proposed as well.
Yes,
she's the one that's acting in a soap opera.
She's amazing. But
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Okay, so as you were talking about him being built in a lab, like to me, Gigi, just knowing that I could have been named Milady, that was an option, like it just the fact it makes me want to adopt a kangaroo and name it Milady. Like so, Gigi Milady, she to me is like the person on earth who's just purely been brought up watching reality shows and knows how to play her parts. She finds her light. She's like, no. Dude, are we making love? You don't throw me around. And it's just like, it's like watching somebody who knows how to improvise her part. She knows the part she's
tearing
playing.
Her wedding dress.
It was amazing. She's an incredible character who was built in a lab. Peter's a perfect bachelor. Milady was built perfectly for Love Is Blind.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's the best.
Do you think Hannah Ann is like that as well?
Because
it's funny when you were saying that, I felt like you were describing Hannah Ann a little bit.
I don't think she's as I do feel that she knows how to. Yes, I think there's like it became a strange thing during Colton season where they opened the shoot of pageant gals, and like I think it's the early training,
yes,
has made it slightly less interesting.
I agree, and like love my pageant listeners, and but it's I've said this. It's just like we need a little break. They doubled down a little too heavy. It's like fun to have one or two, you know, and it's like an interesting like world a lot of people aren't familiar with. But now like we got infiltrated by it.
They're trying to reset though with Claire. I think it will be interesting watching the older guys and the young gals in Paradise. It's gonna be
like Raya.
It's exactly it. Is the TV version of Raya?
It will be
in Sayulita.
That will be wild. So to wrap up. I do want to say that, and we were talking about this before. So far, my prediction.
I'm impressed.
I'm like I got the order a little off.
Yeah.
But so far, I've hit every beat. I'm a little less confident about the end now because I have predicted he's going to be with Hannah Ann.
Okay.
But I said that Madison would leave. I think everyone kind of thought that.
Yep.
I did predict what no one did, that Hannah Ann was the woman that Barb would tell her to come back.
I hope you put money on that because you'd be so rich.
I tweeted that. I tweeted that.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
I said Madison's going to come back. Seems like she does.
Yes.
And then I said Peter's going to be with Hannah Ann. That I'm not so sure.
Okay,
about.
Let's guess. What do you think?
No,
Kelley? I don't think he's engaged to anyone. I hope not.
But when they're saying like we're gonna find it out tonight, who do you think they're gonna find out? Like, so are you like, is he gonna propose on stage to someone tonight? And who is it?
They seem to be setting it up that way, right? That like it's all gonna end in this epic shit show.
And they also showed the producer. They showed the producer in the coming attraction.
That Julie, they showed half her face, and they've been blurring out all the producers. That was their new thing, but they didn't blur her face out.
That's just an Easter egg. There's zero chance he's with a producer. And listen.
What was that show, Unreal?
Yes,
that actually did happen.
Sure,
yes.
And like
so good.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I almost get defensive of Julie. She's literally just doing her job. Her job is to like basically live on Peter's hip for the past 5 months.
When you came on my podcast, when you were still, your show was still airing, you had your producer with you. Like they have to go with you everywhere.
Every moment with them.
She's real cute.
Tell us what I said earlier.
I feel like you don't hire the hot nanny. You know what I'm saying?
No, they have. I feel like they have a lot of producers who have either tried to get into acting or hosting, and they've gravitated towards that.
A lot of producers on the show are in LA doing the thing, and they found their way on the show. Totally.
But then, like, how could somebody not fall? Like, he's got the head injury. He's confused. Hannah Ann's come. There's been all the champagne gate. Like, now you've got the person who's consistent is like a cutie pie. You hire a cutie pie? I don't think so.
Not Julie.
Somebody's gonna bone the nanny. Gavin Rossdale did, and he was married to Gwen Stefani, who's the best. You don't cheat on Gwen Stefani.
Well,
Nick is very against this theory.
Okay.
I'm just more like
so you think there's no producer? So do you think they're gonna be leading up to like there'll definitely be some cameras in hometowns?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that Peter, like we're gonna pick up from Peter thinking, well, Hannah Ann's my girl.
Great.
You know what? I really love her.
Great.
You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna propose.
If he was gonna propose, he would have said something to her on the date.
But he had the suit on. He had the Neil Lane suit on.
No. You forget, and
he's
that
not
every season, whether it's this type of drama. Ironically, the person who the bachelor or bachelorette ends up picking, it always seems like they have the worst last date.
Right. Oh.
Go back and watch Raven and I. It was like everything's great and fun, and we're having fun. We're ice skating. We're rolling around on the frozen waters. Meanwhile, Vanessa's like, "What the fuck are we like? I don't know if I want to get engaged." And blah blah blah. And I'm like,
"You
what?
guys had like kiss me."
You know, and she's just like, "I don't." And I'm like, "I don't know if I really want to live in Canada." And she's like, it was just like, it was just,
now you might want to.
Yeah.
True story.
And so like I don't take much about that. So they don't, honestly, that last date makes me think that, you know, Peter's going to wake up and be in love, and all at the expense of everyone in America thinking there's really not a love there.
Yeah.
But I think they could be overplaying that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyways, Peter's going to wake up. He's going to be ready to propose to Hannah Ann. Insert Madison, which is either both a dick move by Madison and probably the producers.
Well, I think that's what we just found out. Madison's coming back is I think what they're about to say.
Right. But it's going to happen literally as he's like...
He's got that pear-shaped ring.
He's got the suit on. He's picked out his ring.
He's got that ring.
There was very loose phrasing of we're going to see Madison next week. So does that just mean that she's on the live show?
But they had the... No,
you're absolutely right.
There was you never saw her. Like there were no previews.
Yes, they did. They had her saying, "I regret it" at the very end.
They have Harrison asking Madison if she regret it, and Cathy's right that could have been like yesterday. They could have filmed that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She could be like,
"Oh my god, you guys are so."
How many times have we heard snippets of interviews that were from a different episode or different point in time?
Oh my god.
That were just chopped together.
Cathy could have. I'm sorry. I'm getting all my names wrong. Madison could have called up Chris Harrison and be like, "Hey, bro, I know the finals up. I want Peter back."
Question. Then what is he talking about when he says we just found this out? In my mind, when he goes, "Oh my god," and he lies on the bed, in my mind is we just found out Madison's coming back,
or we just found out Hannah Ann left.
There's that. Maybe Hannah Ann could just be all like, whatever.
She said she wasn't getting anything else, and she was also hanging on by a string.
She's not leaving.
The most insane ending could be that Peter either proposes or asks out Hannah Ann. Like they leave in some sort of a semblance of a relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
We just found out Neil Lane missed his flight. He's not going to be
Neil
here.
Lane,
and then Madison waits like a period of time, like 2 months, and then decides that she wants to get back with Peter. And while Peter's in a relationship with Hannah Ann, fights for Peter back. That would be fucking a mess.
Oh my god, you guys.
Sending her emails every day.
Oh my god.
You know there's going to be some like hometown. We haven't had a normal, just a proper proposal ending since like Colton jumped the fence and he's like, they're trying to force her to date him. We had already did the switcheroo. Yeah. Like the Bachelors have gone off-roading for the last few years.
I was going to say Hannah B, but that's...
like with the guys, for the guys.
I mean, I'm afraid it's a little jumping the shark every season because you had like all these crazy endings and it's almost like, do they have to keep one-upping him? Is it too boring if all of a sudden we get to the final two and the Bachelor, Bachelorette's like, yeah, that's my person. I'm in love.
I feel like we need that. I feel like America needs one good, solid, real couple proposal.
I was going to say we need the swerve where the Bachelor picks the woman at the end that he actually marries.
I feel like we need a wedding.
Well, I think Claire...
Times are tough. We need a wedding. Things are scary out there. We need it.
Claire, I think we're going to hopefully get back. I mean, listen, it's going to be totally nuts. And I love Claire. I think she's going to be a great bachelorette, but Claire...
Batshit. I love it.
Claire is a little nutty in a great way.
Fun. Adult batshit.
Yeah, but it is going to have a different tone and a different feel. We'll have conversations. We're gonna stop pretending that women in the 30s are not eligible for love.
Yes.
Like isn't it wild that Rachel at 31 was the oldest bachelorette, I think.
Was that true?
I think it might have been. And like also it's
the most appropriate time to actually get engaged.
Yeah, and it's so we're finally like having a more realistic and we'll have conversations. We'll hopefully have some single dads. We'll have some Claire's been engaged a couple times. Claire's had a series. I'm looking forward to not having people's tragic stories be about like what happened when they were 15.
Yes.
I want it to be like and it doesn't have to be like totally insane. It could just be I was in this relationship and I got fucked up over it and I didn't really think I'd find someone else. Like that's relatable.
Or like some adult who's like, I bought a house and then my company downsized
and I had to sell it.
Sell my house. It got like
the stock market crashed because of coronavirus.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we might get more relatable and real conversations.
I can't wait. I hope there's a raccoon that she's talking to at some point in time.
Or a baby kangaroo.
Oh my god, the baby kangaroo.
All right, quick round table and then we wrap up. Right. Rochelle, who's he picking? Madison. So at the end of Wednesday morning, Peter's with Madison. Cathy?
I think that he's with Madison.
Okay, and by tomorrow morning,
I think he's with Madison, but they're now broke. They tried, and they're not together now.
So Wednesday morning, Peter's a single.
I'd say he's single. They tried. She's mad at him still.
I'm just gonna be Starbird and say Peter's gonna wake up tomorrow morning and be with Hannah Ann.
Okay.
Because no one thought Barb was gonna be talking about Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible. Ladies, thanks so much for doing this. This has been a ton of fun. I guess we'll find out. Make sure to tune in to tomorrow. I have Kelsey on to help recap the final and learn a little bit more about Kelsey.
Love her.
Cathy, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Cathy Kelley and on Twitter at Catherine Kelley.
Ooh. You can find me at Instagram at Arden Myrin, ARDENMYRIN. I also have a book that you can pre-order called Little Miss Little Compton. My podcast. You can pre-order it anywhere. My podcast, Will You Accept This Rose? And I'm on Insatiable on Netflix, which season 2 is up.
Yeah. Anything else we want to plug before we get out of here? Yeah. Make sure to check out Kelsey in probably 15 hours.
Love her. She would have been a great bachelorette.
I think she would have been pretty good.
I'm a fan of Kelsey.
Yeah, me too.
She completely won me over.
Yeah. You can come watch it with us tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll be here at real time.
Okay.
Real time. East Coast time.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay.
Have a good night. Well, I might see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.